Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video we are going to implement a very simple continuous release process or continuous deployment process using GitHub Webhook and AWS services. Okay, so it is like whenever a developer push the code in GitHub, then from the GitHub system the code has to be deployed in the respective server for testing or as part of production deployment or new release, right? So how from GitHub to that particular server it can be auto deployed whenever a git push happens. On that we are going to build a pipeline using GitHub Webhook and AWS services. So in short, it is nothing but a continuous deployment pipeline or continuous release pipeline, right? So the architecture of this auto deployment whenever git push happens can be shown like this way. Here we are having our developer who have done some code changes or created a new code, and whenever they do a git push or git merge something, this kind of activity, then using GitHub Webhook we can trigger a Lambda function. Okay, so how to trigger AWS Lambda using GitHub Webhook based on GitHub events already I discussed in my previous video. You can check the link given in the description box. Okay, so here what this Lambda will do, this Lambda may trigger a Airflow job, okay, which is already available in our production server, that will basically do a Git Pull activity in that respective directory in our server, and then it may send a mail to the admin team and all the developers that the code is deployed successfully. Okay, right? So how to trigger a Airflow job from Lambda using API based approach, that also is discussed in our previous video. The prerequisite link I'll be sharing in the description box. Okay, so let's try to implement this simple architecture. So for this particular implementation, obviously we need Airflow, which we are going to run in our EC2 server. So here all these steps I have followed, and I have already set up the Airflow in our EC2 instance. Okay, so here these are certain steps what we generally follow to start one Airflow server in an EC2, which I already discussed several times in my previous video. So I just thought to make this setup ready before starting the video itself. Otherwise, it will become repetitive what I discussed already in my previous video, right? All we need to do, we need to set up the GitHub part. So for that, what I will do first, I will create a directory with the name test CI/CD. Okay. So I will be going to my GitHub, and then here I will click on new repository, and here repository name I can give test CI/CD. It can be public, not a problem. And here I can create the repository. Okay. So it got created. So now what I can do, just to show you the demo, I can upload some dummy code as of now. So upload an existing file. I can choose directly from GitHub console, and here maybe one text file I am uploading as of now in this particular repository. Okay, so this is uploaded. So now let's first set up the GitHub connection with our actual server where the code will be deployed whenever git push happens. Okay, so for that we will install Git in our EC2 instance. So here I will install Git. Okay, it is installed. Now if I use Git version, I should able to see. So here it is displaying, that is fine. Now here what I will do, I need to provide username and email ID, which I'll be providing. And here email ID I need to put. So I have given these to config, and as part of the next step I need to create one SSH key so that this server can freely communicate with our GitHub server, right? So for that, here again I need to provide the email ID. So here I will put the key gen, and here it is generating the key. So here enter the file in which the key will be saved. I am keeping it nothing, and I don't want to enter any passphrase. So it is done, right? Now to check the SSH key which is generated, first I will execute this command. So it is running, and then here I will add this, and then here to check the public key I can execute this command. So here this is the public key. Now this one we need to set up in our GitHub account, so that what will happen, this particular server can be authenticated with our GitHub. So whenever it will make a pull request or push, GitHub will accept that. Okay. So for that, what I need to do, so I need to go to my profile, and then here I will go to settings, and then in settings here SSH and GPG keys are there. So I will click on new SSH key, title, some name I can give, and in the key part I can paste the SSH key what we got here. Okay, right? So that part is done. Now here I can go to this particular directory. Actually, in this directory we want to do a git pull whenever any git push happens by any developer. So already I created this particular directory. If you observe, if I just execute ls, here you can see GitHub test is there, right? So I will go to this particular directory and let's see whether git clone is working or not in this directory. So I will try to git clone, and here I will write yes, and here it has received the object. Now in this directory, if I do ls, here you can see GitHub Webhook lab experiment.txt. Here in this particular directory, this thing was uploaded, right? So when we are doing git clone, that we are getting in the server. So that means server and GitHub integration is perfectly working now. This server can talk to this particular GitHub server. Now we need to set up the REST part. So for that, what I will do first, so point to be noted, git clone will be doing in this particular directory, right? So whenever a new code we are pushing, that will be coming in this directory only. Okay. Here, if you observe in this architecture, Airflow need one directory where all the DAGs are stored. I kept the same directory, GitHub test, in our Airflow directory configuration. If you see DAG folders, here it is pointing to the same directory. So here what I will do in that particular directory, I will write a simple Airflow code. What it will do, it will go to this particular directory and it will execute a git pull command. So that way, whatever is available in GitHub, that will be coming here. Okay. So I will copy this particular code, and here currently I am in GitHub test. In this particular directory only all our DAG codes are sitting. So what I will do, I will execute a vi command, and then here I can escape. I think I forgot to give the name. So here if I do import, it is with the name import. So let me just delete this, and here I can give vi code sync.py. So this will sync the code. So I will insert my code here, and then I will quit this. Okay. Now if I do ls, here you can see code sync.py. So this is a code which is basically responsible for pulling the data from GitHub based on new event. Okay. So the code sync.py is ready. Now what we will do? Now we need to set up the Lambda code. So here the Lambda will trigger this Airflow job, right? So for that, this Lambda need to be ready. So here this is our Lambda code which we generally use to run our Airflow job from Lambda function based on API. So here we need to provide the API. So here if you see our DAG name is code sync, right? Here if you observe the DAG ID, we have given code sync. So that particular DAG here in Lambda, it will be called, just we need to provide the EC2 public IP properly. So here our Airflow server is running in basically in this particular EC2 instance. I'll copy the public IP and I'll paste that here, right? So this became our Lambda code. All I will do, I will create a Lambda function. Create function git demo yt24. I will choose Python 3.7 as execution environment and I will create the function. So here I can paste the Lambda code and I can deploy it. Okay, cool. So that is done. And by that time, parallelly, let me do one thing. Let me start the GitHub server also. So to start the GitHub server, first I need to execute airflow db init, or maybe I can go back to the root directory and then execute airflow db init, and then we'll start the web server. So here web server is going to start, and then I will duplicate the session, and then here what I will do, I will activate the virtual environment, and then here I will start the scheduler. So here both our scheduler and web server are running. So I can copy this public IP. I can go to Airflow console. The Airflow is running by default in port 8080. So I will use that one. And here sign in console coming. Here I'll provide my username and password, which I configured while creating the Airflow user. User ID is Airflow and password is this one. I will keep that. and I will sign in. So here it is not taking airflow. Okay, username is airflow, sorry. Let's sign in now. And here if I go to tags, here we can see our port sync tag, which is just doing a git pull, right? So now what we'll do, let's test it out whether this port sync tag is really working or not. Okay, because here if you see, this Lambda's responsibility is to trigger the job, right? But we need to test once whether it is working successfully or not. So maybe I can unpause this tag and I can refresh. So here it has not ran yet, because here if you see, here in this particular Python code, while creating the tag, we have not configured anything. So here, because schedule interval we kept none, it will not run by default. Okay, even if I refresh, it is not having any run. I can refresh this whole console and see it is not having any run. So let's test it out from Lambda whether the API level trigger is working successfully or not. We can check that. So here it is failing. So here some API issue it is throwing, connection error, failed to establish new connection. 18.205.149.65. 18.205.149.65, that is correct. Let me just double confirm. Okay, so here I need to give the port number also, which is 8080. I think that is the reason. So here now we can test it out. Again it failed. But why it is saying port 80? Ideally it is 8080. I don't know why it was not deployed. Let me try it again. So it is deployed successfully. Let's test it out now. So here see, it got successful. Okay. So ideally what should happen here, the code should have run once. See here it got successful. That means here if you observe, let me open this session in a new tab, and if I click on Ubuntu, here if I do ls, this is our directory where all the git pull will happen. I can go to this particular directory. Here if I do ls, currently here you can see the code sync.py is only there, and this is basically what git pull happened from GitHub, already existing one, because we have not kept new files. So that's why here also nothing new came. Okay, so one thing we understood, that is from Lambda, this particular airflow trigger is successfully working. Now we need to set up the Lambda trigger for our GitHub Webhook. Okay, so here I can use API Gateway approach, or we are having Lambda function also. We can directly use function URL if needed. So authentication none I can keep and click on save. So here I received the function URL. All I can do, I can go to settings section for this particular test CI/CD, and if I scroll below, here I will be getting webhook option. I'll add the webhook, and payload I will put this one, content type let it be, and SSL verification, that is fine, and I can keep sending me everything as of now. But ideally in production system, whenever git push happen or git merge happen, then only you can trigger it. Okay, so add webhook I can click. So here webhook is added. Okay, successfully done. From now onwards, whenever we will upload a new code here, automatically this Lambda will be triggered, because that is nothing but a GitHub event will trigger this Lambda based on webhook, and this Lambda will trigger this airflow. This airflow will do a git pull, and as soon as git pull is done, here if we do ls in this directory, we should see the new code or new tag, whatever we'll be adding in GitHub. Okay, so here let me do one thing. Let me show you here what I have done. I have created two separate tag code. Okay, so here let me open this. This is a very simple tag I have created, hello world from git push. Okay, and the tag name is another tag. Okay, so this tag, suppose a developer has developed, and all he or she is doing, he or she is uploading this in GitHub. Okay, so here actually he or she will be doing git push or git merge something, but here I am uploading this manually from the console itself. So here suppose code 2 I am uploading. Okay, so here I will commit the changes. As soon as commit happens, then what should happen ideally? The Lambda should have been triggered. Let's see. If I go to monitor section, and I can open the logs in CloudWatch. So here you can see that this is the latest log. Let's click on that. And here if you observe the timing, it is 1:05 p.m. Currently also it is 1:05 p.m. That means just it got triggered. Okay. So earlier it was 1. So if I refresh, now another Git pull should have happened, and see it is showing 3 because when setting up the connection might be one more time it got triggered. Here we can see that there are 2 codes. We pushed a new code. Now if we do ls in this particular directory, we should observe that code2.py also came here. That means this code is auto deployed. And in this particular airflow, that code2 DAG also should come. If I refresh this console, here you will see automatically code2 will be coming. Okay. So here if it is not coming, that means there is some issue with code2.py. We can easily check using airflow db init command. Let's see. Airflow command not found. Okay. Okay, I need to go to this particular virtual environment and then execute. So here it is initialized perfectly. So ideally that code2 DAG should come here. Let me refresh this. And see here another DAG came. Okay. So that means this is auto deployed only. So I can even run this particular DAG if required. I can go to graph view of this DAG. And here see only high one single step. I can trigger the DAG. And here if I refresh, here it ran successfully. If I click on that and click on logs, here this particular DAG what we added newly, that is just printing something, right? Not doing any activity. If you see here, it has printed hello world from git push. Let's test it one more time. What I will do, I will upload another DAG, and this DAG is also doing that kind of print activity, but this DAG name is hello world, and this particular DAG is printing here hello world only. Okay. Or hello world second example. I can write like this way. Okay. And I can save this, and suppose the developer is doing a code push like this way, hello world DAG, and I can commit the changes. So here if you see, as of now, last time when we did ls, that particular code was not there. But because we pushed automatically in backend based on GitHub Webhook, Lambda will be triggered, Lambda will trigger the airflow will do the Git pull. So now if I do ls, here I will be going to this particular directory, and then here if I do ls, here you will see hello world DAG.py. Automatically it got deployed from GitHub to our server. Okay, right? And if I go to our DAGs console, here we'll able to see that hello world DAG also soon. Okay. Sometimes it may take some time to just show that latest DAG here in the console, because in backend they are scheduled, and based on scheduler timing it will be picking up new DAGs. So just wait for some seconds, or if required you can execute airflow db init once separately just to get that content. Okay. Or maybe I can close this console and open in a new tab, and that also should show. And see here hello world DAG, this particular DAG came. Okay. We just pushed the code in GitHub. Automatically from GitHub it got deployed in server, and I can run this particular DAG also just to show you it is working perfectly fine. Here what I can do, I can go to graph view, and here I can run it. So here it got successful. I can click on logs, and here you can see it is showing hello world second example. Okay, right? So this is how you can easily implement a very simple continuous release process or continuous deployment process based on GitHub events using GitHub Webhook and triggering airflow DAG based on API. Okay, using these two concepts we can easily build this kind of pipeline. There are a lot more potential of this use case. You can play with it, make some awesome projects using it, and share your thoughts how you can use this in your project. If it is useful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.